we were up against it. From defensively, from an injury standpoint, man, it started hitting us. We lost a bunch of guys in the back end of our defense. We just kept fighting and scratching and clawing. And just like last week a little bit, we needed every single play that our team could get out there. So from a defensive perspective, huge there early in the football game to hold them to field goals when they got down inside the red zone, especially that opening possession. I thought that was really key. That we held them to field goal and they missed it. Just created momentum. We went down and scored in our openers. So. Felt good at halftime. I think in the second half we wanted to have game ball security and try to run the ball. I don't know if we did that as effectively as we needed to. And our defense played probably entirely way too many snaps in the second half. But as soon as they started closing in, that drive that our offense had was big time. We were backed up. We didn't get very good kickoff return on that particular drive, but we made some plays. I think Bart really stepped up and made some nice throws in that drive and really led our offense in that particular drive. We went out there and got some stops on defense. So it was a physical football game, I'll tell you that. A lot of guys on both sides of the ball were banged up, and they obviously had more yards than us, but they also ran 28 more plays, and some of it had to do with just us bend that break a little bit, especially in the second half. We had that mentality.
What was the concern over the fatigue factor for the defense in that second half?
Yeah, well, I think what the biggest issue was, Pete, was we lost Jalen Harden, one of our starting safeties. He went out. We lost Marquez Goldman. Our nickel went down, so we're really short there. And then we had David Talley. We lost David Talley at linebacker at one point in time. We got no Garrett Prunier. Our safeties were getting really thin, and our nickels were getting thin up the middle of our defense. So we were scrambling really from a special team standpoint and from a defensive standpoint. I don't know if it was so much fatigue, but we just had a couple guys roll up ankles. We had a deep thigh bruise, nothing major, but they just couldn't go against the speed of Ferris's offense.
What about for the sake of the rivalry to get the win against these guys and put an end to that part?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's been a little bit of something that's still important to us. But I think what's more important is that right now we're 6-0. We're the only undefeated team in the conference, and we are in control of our destiny. We have a big game coming up, non-conference game against Truman State, who's 5-1, and that's a huge game for us, coming up. So, I mean, there's some stuff. I think more specifically with our senior class. I think it was important for us to have those seniors that have been in our program here and been with me now for 4 or 5 years, some 6, to not go through without the trophy. I think that was really critical for that class to have that opportunity to do that more than anything. And obviously, there's a rivalry, and I'm glad that we stepped up and did a good job getting the W today.
Colin, can you talk a little bit about the chase around the belt and what that was like? What you guys try to do to stop him?
He's a good athlete, but we like to pride ourselves on our relentless pursuit to the ball. And that showed up at times, and sometimes it didn't. He was able to run around, and honestly, he had more success tucking it or pulling it up and throwing it than I thought he did. Really scrambling around the ball, and I think that's a testament to our defensive backs and our D linemen getting to the ball when the play's broken.
Bart, through 3 quarters, the offense, the passing game, had a little kind of shaky moments, but then you have that 39-yard touchdown pass to Nick Dotson. Just how important was that for the offense tonight?
I think that was big because, I think not necessarily everybody questioning what we're doing, but it was just kind of man, we really can't move the ball. And, it felt good to, we converted 3rd and long on that drive, which I don't think we had done all game. Urston made a couple great catches to keep the drive going. And then, being on that 3rd and long. And then, great play by Dotson, catching the ball and scoring a touchdown. They were really stacking the box with trying to stop Marty in the run game. So, we got a matchup on the outside and took advantage of it.
Mac, can you maybe piggyback on that and talk a little bit about what was happening with the offense up until that point and what maybe you did in that drive?
In the first half, we were able to get Martavius one-on-one with one of their safeties. And he was doing a great job making him miss, quite a bit. I think they made an adjustment at the halftime to that specific play. We're playing their defensive end a little bit different, which was having a harder time with him getting out there on the edge. And so, it was a combination of that. And then there was a series there where we would have had, I think, a 2nd 2 after a good run. We had a holding call and we just kind of kept getting backed up a little bit that way. So, at some point in time, we knew that with how tight the safeties were playing and what they were doing, we were going to have to end up throwing the ball. And as Bart said, probably the biggest play of the game was the third down conversion. It was a route that we had run earlier in the game to Brandon Bean, and we knew it was there. We were a little off on the execution the previous time, but Brandon Bean came up, made a great play at that point in time, which really got us, kept us, down there into the field. So, yeah, we'll have to go back and watch the tape. We could have made life easier for ourselves in the second half. We've been more effectively be able to run the ball. We had way too many 3 and outs, and that's something we'll take a look at and got to clean up.
I wouldn't feel good after that part. I mean, did that give the offense a little bit of confidence? Breathing room too.
Yeah, I mean, especially individually, came out and I think we threw the ball pretty effectively, but it was tough getting stuff going in the pass game, throughout the rest of the game, especially in the second half. So, that felt good to, get a couple balls with Hurston, that third and long, and then obviously, that we needed a score there big time, to give ourselves a bigger cushion. So, yeah, it felt really good when I saw Dotson trot into the end zone. So.
Martavius, you guys had that trick play. Is that something you guys practice a lot? And do you plan on trying for quarterback next week? Or?
It was a well executed play. No, I didn't get no pressure really. It was just we practiced it a lot, but we just really didn't. I really don't know what to say. It was too much for me because I thought I was gonna overthrow him. But it was a real great play. We didn't really get as much pressure as I thought I would. And I just lobbed the ball. And he was what he was there to make it.
Was it better than throwing it to Bart last year in that playoff game?
I don't think we scored on that one. I think we scored on this one. It's the difference in that.
It's the same thing. I mean, Bart probably was a little faster. He would have probably scored too. For the byline. But, I mean, they both was really great plays. They played a big part in both games.
Colin, what does this winning this rivalry mean to you personally, and how good did it feel to get a win over these guys and get the trophy back?
Last year and the year before, they got us in the regular season. I think people forget that the last time we played them, we came out with a win too. To get the anchor bone, like Coach Mitch said earlier, for our seniors, some of those guys that never had it, that was something in the back of our minds. We wanted our guys that have been here, that have put in all this hard work, and haven't come up with the trophy. We wanted to give them a chance to get the trophy, and it's a big moral victory for us.
Dylan, talk a little bit about the defensive line. You guys got a lot of pressure on those guys, and then talk about your interception.
Yeah, we got to credit the credit the coaching staff. They put us in positions to win. Had a great game plan, and we always trusted in each other and went out and executed. And as for the interception, Tally made a heck of a play, batted the ball, and I just happened to be in the right spot at the right time, and just need to work on ball security now.
Your eyes lit up when you were running towards the end zone?
Oh yeah.
Good thing is you wouldn't have scored, so at least you fumbled it and we ended up scoring. So
Yeah.
it ended up being a touchdown.
Wait a minute. Dance the ball one way.
Did it on purpose.
Yeah, fumbled it forward.
Is that good?
Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming out. Appreciate it.
All right. How do you feel good about getting that fast start offensively?
Yeah, I think we work hard to script our openers, and obviously pretty successful. Our opening drive went down, scored a touchdown, combination, some runs, and then also throwing the ball in the air, and then came back and got a stop, got some good field position, went down and moved the ball. And then I thought it was a good job by Tim Morrison on that trick play call. We had certain specials for this game, and one of them was Martavius looked like he was running the ball and then throwing it up to Hurston on a nosy corner. So that was getting off to that 14-0 start. I think was really big for us. It's based a little bit on the back history and some of the things that kind of gave our guys a lot of confidence.
Defensively, they drove the ball in the first half. But you got stops inside the red zone. Talk about the key. How that
Huge. I mean, the first drive we limited him to field goal and he missed it. And 2 more times it got down there, we ended up holding them to field goals. So that's something we had talked about. Heading into the game, I felt we could win the turnover battle and the red zone battle. Third down was going to be tough with their defensive line and with Reggie Bell's ability to make theirs. So I didn't know how the third down battle was going to go, but I knew based on tape that, when things get tight down in there for him and there's not as many windows to throw or run, that was going to limit their offense a little bit. So we tried to preach to our kids, don't give up a lot of big plays. Field goals won't get you beat. Obviously, there was 3 possessions down inside the 20, I think, and we only held them to 6 points. We had 6 points at halftime. We just great job by our defense in the first half.
You guys, it's 14-6. You guys come back with a 9-play, 79-yard drive. Marty takes it in from the 1. You guys really seem to get clicking there offensively on that drive.
Yeah, and I think the big thing on that particular drive in general was we were handing the ball off to Marty, and he was one-on-one with the safety, and they had a guy there, and Martavius was making him miss a lot. And so we just kept kind of running that play and feeding Marty the ball, which we knew we ended up having, we're going to have to do in this particular situation. And that drive, there was probably a couple passes thrown in there, but that drive was almost entirely Martavius Carter. And we ran a wham play where we whammed a D lineman, he got it down to the 1, and then we punched it at the 1 with Marty. It's good to have players of his caliber, step up in big games like this. And that drive, that was a big drive.
First half, you guys really got after him defensively. Defensive line got a ton of pressure. A lot of tackles behind the line of scrimmage, quarterback sacks, tip balls, and then that led to that turnover and another score. So you had to feel good about the defensive pressure you were able to get in the first half.
Yeah, on I felt like their traditional run game, there wasn't anything going. They couldn't run the ball really traditionally. Our defensive linebackers are doing a good job. The thing that was frustrating was the scramble plays on the passing plays. When you look at these yards he has rushing, I'm gonna go back and look at the tape. I think there's one time where he ran a power read and broke one, but most of that stuff was him scrambling. We had a hard time getting him down back there, but. That was a big play at the end of the half there where Talley batted it up, Carroll picks it off, and fumbled it, and Keelan gets a touchdown. That put us up at that point in time, 28-6, and you're feeling good heading to the locker room.
You come out of the locker room, you get the ball. You really want to drive down and put a nail in the coffin, go up 35-6. Get down inside the territory, sacks, penalties. And then that momentum kind of started to change when they go back down and score quickly.
Yeah, first of all, you're going to watch the tape for the kickoff return. We're going to be sick to our stomach. We're 1 foot swipe away from taking the second half kickoff return for a touchdown. Christian would have been gone. Guy swiped his leg, but even then, it felt good. Our offense drove it down in there, but very disappointing given that situation. We couldn't come away with any points. A 22-point lead, even if you would have got a field goal there, get the thing to 25, that's getting you a lot of 2-point conversions, a 3-score game with a bunch of 2-point conversions, or a 4-score game at that point in time. But man, that was disappointing, and that kind of started a stretch with our offense. The rest, we moved it well in the first drive and stalled. The rest of the third quarter, really fourth, we didn't do anything offensively. Too many 3-and-outs, put our defense in really bad positions.
But defensively, they gained yards between the 20s. When you got inside the red zone, your red zone defense was very efficient today.
Yeah, and one time I think we forced a turnover, which was huge at that point in time, and came up with stops, and we need to come up with stops. And up until his last punt, I think Dan Madden was a factor in that too. The Poly kid was a really good punt returner, didn't have many yards punt returning. Obviously, Dan shanked the last punt, put us in some bad field positions, but our defense kept battling, and a lot of really proud of our defensive unit when we lost Marquez Goldman pretty much at halftime. On opening kickoff return, and we lost, Jalen Harden, who's been playing great as a redshirt freshman, to a deep thigh bruise. And we were short with Garrett Pune already being out. We were short at safety and nickel. Deshaun Hurley had to play the entire second half at nickel with no break. We were down to 2 safeties with Postma and Dante Carey that were out there playing. We were really thin, and we just kind of kept, having some fight and kept battling, and kept us in the, kept the lead, kept the 2-score lead, up until they scored that one and cut it to a 1-score game.
28-23, third down, Bart with big time completion, and that really showed his mettle.
Play of the game. I think play of the game. There's a lot of plays of the game, I suppose, but bad job on KOR. We got on the 19. Go 81 yards to get the thing to a 2-score game and buy us some breathing room. And you're right, we had a 3rd and long, and we ran an out route to Brandon Bean on the inside. Bart put it right on him, and Brandon advanced it, and that was hands down the play of the game. If we had a punt right there, put our defense back out in the field, it's hard to tell what would end up happening. So, you look at the 3 picks, that's not good. I would say 2 of the 3 for sure on the wideouts. Not very good job getting some separation. But that drive, not only the 3rd down completion, he threw a slant to Erston Smith, and then the go ball where finally we got somebody behind their DBs, which took a while. 39-yard touchdown pass, Nick Dotson. Our quarterback stepped up big time, and we needed him the most to throw the ball because they were packing the box like crazy trying to start Martavius. he made some throws, and we finally had some wide receivers kind of make some plays too, which we were lacking. We didn't have a lot of playmaking in that third quarter.
At the end of the day, it's one victory for the week. And talk a bit about putting this behind you and moving on to Truman State.
Yeah, I said in the locker room that, obviously there's a rivalry game, there's a trophy and everything, but at the end of the day, we're 6-0, and there's still a lot of football left to be played in this season. And we'll enjoy this today, and then we'll get in tomorrow. You got Truman State, who won today against Southwest Baptist, so now they're 5-1. I wouldn't be surprised if they're not ranked in the top 25 coming in here, and they're fighting for their playoff hopes, obviously too, coming out of the GVSU. So it'll be a great game, and I'm glad we scheduled that game. It's going to really help us continue to take the next step. I'm sure they'll be a physical team, so can't complain. Them 6-0 and right where we want to be in the 2016 season. We got to keep getting better.